They called her chinless goddess or chinless queen.
Notice how she lost the skin in the eyelid crease. This is not an attractive feature.
Through this brow lift, her cheeks were also upswept and altered.
To me, a considerable measure of Marilyn Monroe's beauty comes from her eyes, whose own exquisite beauty was thanks not so much to genetics.
When younger, she had almond-shaped, hooded eyes with a slightly positive canthal tilt. Hooded eyes are when there is a flap of skin covering the upper eyelid. And she went from this to this.
But rather, mainly to the scalpel.
Now look at the after photo. The space between her upper eyelid and brow has increased. This is a sign of a blepharoplasty and a coronal brow lift.
This is widely agreed.
She probably had eyebrow lift surgery and upper blepharoplasty, which is the partial removal of skin in the upper eyelid region.
I especially like the slanted look to Marilyn's upper eyelids. Unlike the case of most eyes, at the outer corners they take what I personally consider a highly alluring downturn. This look was created partly by Marilyn's eyelid surgery, to be exact, by the procedures apparently having been too aggressive.
Look closely at the inner eye area. Do you see how it looks pulled and then this area looks flat? This is a classic sign of an aggressive upper blepharoplasty.
Two nearby regions of Marilyn's upper face then tried to make up for what was effectively missing eyelid skin.
Brow compensation is a term used for when eyebrows try to overcompensate for an overly aggressive skin removal from a blepharoplasty. What happens is the eyebrows raise higher in an attempt to open the eyelids more.
As I say, I personally find the downturn to the outer corners of Marilyn's eyes highly attractive, and I'm not the only one.
This flaw is called brow compensation, and it's exactly the reason for Marilyn Monroe's sultry, half-shut eye look.
Marilyn also used makeup to accentuate the slope to the outer corners of her eyes.
As well as she did some things with her eyelashes to only use the outer half of the eyelash more, as well as an upturn to the outer eye with her makeup.
But yet, with her blepharoplasty and with her makeup, Marilyn's sultry, slanted eye look was not complete.
And the blepharoplasty contributed to her sexy half-shut eye look. Now, I'm saying contributed, but not created.
Marilyn always took one further step to achieve the exquisite slope to her eyes.
Marilyn would purposely half shut her eyes for photos and for film to look even more sexy.
Now, totally random, some say that when posing for pictures, Marilyn often jutted her chin forward in order to direct attention to her lower face and away from her upper face so that her eyes wouldn't be noticed. Marilyn hated her chin, as I will soon show, so anyway, that was totally random. Now, some people actually disagree that Marilyn's downturned lateral eye corners were a feature of beauty.
Before, she had hooded eyes. Afterwards, she started to have her upper eyelids very exposed. Notice how she lost the skin in the eyelid crease. This is not an attractive feature on the female face nor on the male face. This gives the appearance of a tired and lazy look.
To that guy, the downward slope to the outer corners of Marilyn's eyes represents botched cosmetic surgery.
In Marilyn's case, most likely it was because of unsuccessful plastic surgery.
I'll do a John McEnroe in response to what the guy says next. You cannot be serious.
She used various makeup tricks to hide it, and she often tilted her chin forward when taking a picture.
In case you don't know, I'm Gina, and my own cosmetic surgery journey is ongoing. If you're enjoying this video, do give it a like and do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Marilyn's disdain of her original hairline gave birth to her recourse to hairline electrolysis, which made quite a noticeable difference to the aesthetics of Marilyn's forehead.
Let's take a look at the following before and after photos. You'll notice a deeper widow's peak and a higher looking forehead.
What Marilyn essentially did was to accentuate her widow's peak. But, as the saying goes, she literally suffered for beauty.
It's been reported that Marilyn had electrolysis of her hairline, but I think also back then electrolysis was pretty painful and was not super common.
In those days, hair removal was very painful. Electrolysis was performed using this torturous-looking device here.
The height gained to her forehead from her hairline electrolysis was subsequently reduced by the brow lift that I portrayed earlier.
When younger, The thirds of her face were roughly equal in size, with the lower third being slightly larger in height. However, after the eyebrow lift, she got a shorter forehead.
Again, this made all the difference to Marilyn's upper third.
I believe that she was probably dissatisfied with her forehead, and by lifting the eyebrows, it helped to fill the forehead and shorten it. See, in this scene, the stretched look of her eyebrows.
That said, the increase in the height of Marilyn's eyebrows coming from her brow lift.
Her eyebrows were thin and arched, and they got a lot more arched after the eyebrow lift.
Wasn't enough for Marilyn.
And then her makeup artist also said that they wanted Marilyn's brows to occupy a bit more space on her forehead because her forehead was slightly large, and so they were elongating this and making this triangle shape to occupy this space and kind of repeat that triangles on her widow's peak here.
One day, while at a casting call, she heard the director refer to her as the chinless wonder.
In the model agency, they called her chinless goddess or chinless queen.
To what I believe was Marilyn's huge disappointment, she didn't fool anyone with her subsequent implant surgery.
Marilyn didn't want anyone knowing about this chin implant, so she makes up a story to postpone a screen test, and she tells the director that she fell on her chin. Well, once she's all healed up, she goes and does the screen test, and the director looked at her and said, "Honey, you should have fell on your chin 2 years ago."
Marilyn's original chin was, as you probably gathered, too small for Hollywood.
Marilyn had a delicate small chin that really lent well to her innocent and wholesome image, but definitely did not suit her strong leading lady image.
So they said she didn't have any chin. However, her chin was slightly elongated here on the bottom, but it wasn't prominent enough.
Her chin implant, which was done in 1950, certainly corrected this.
Then they made a surgery for her. They implanted some kind of sponge here.
But the correction didn't last.
She had a cartilage implant in the chin region around 1950. However, the cartilage was reabsorbed by the body. Only the scar remained at the surgical site.
I believe the cartilage used in Marilyn's chin came from a cow, bovine cartilage. As to what became of Marilyn Monroe's chin after the disintegration of her implant,
I couldn't see any significant differences between the photos before and after 1950. It would be necessary to have photos with the same pose, lighting and facial expression to make the comparison.
Marilyn's nose job was to narrow her bridge
And she also felt like her nose was too wide when she was smiling.
and to reduce her tip.
It looks like a significant amount of cartilage was removed from the tip, entirely slimming it and removing the bulbous quality to it.
But after the surgery, Marilyn still felt that her nose was a bit too big.
But she still felt like it was too big and it was too wide, especially when she was smiling, so she would still contour it right here. Not on the nostrils. She would leave the nostrils like this and she would contour it right here and make this kind of circle around here.
She has moderate cheekbones, as we can see in this photo. Marilyn's cheeks were smooth contoured.
I actually think Marilyn would have been more beautiful if her cheekbones had been slightly bigger and slightly more defined. I can't find any evidence anywhere to say that she had anything done to her cheekbones, but some say that her cheekbones were actually indirectly enhanced by a cosmetic surgery procedure performed on a different part of her face.
Through this brow lift, her cheeks were also upswept and altered, that I actually realized that what my brain was saying was right, that her cheeks had changed. And if you look at her later photos, she always had this high cheekbone look that really she didn't have as a younger teen.
I also think Marilyn's jaw would have been more beautiful with a sharp edge rather than with a rounded edge. Show me a woman with chiseled cheekbones along with a chiseled, compact jawline, and I may well show you a beautiful woman. The ears don't generally play a significant part in facial beauty, but it's no less of note that
She had normal-sized ears but had unusually shaped ears, so she always covered them with her hair.
Another insecurity that she had big ears. I never noticed that before I found out about it. I don't think she has any problems with her ears, but this is one of the reasons why she would never open her ears. She would always have some hair covering them.
Marilyn mainly appeared to have stupendous teeth,
Her teeth were white, straight and without gaps.
but in some instances the true colour of her teeth showed.
In Blue Book agency documents, they said that she had very beautiful natural white smile. However, in some pictures we sometimes can see that her teeth are slightly yellower when she has very, very white and bleached skin. So comparing to this skin, we can see slightly yellower teeth.
She also trained her teeth to appear perfectly aligned.
They said that she had wrong bite. Basically, her lower teeth were much more in the back and her front teeth were more forward. So she changed her bite so she would have this Hollywood smile. So the teeth would be like closer together. So the bottom teeth would be closer to her top teeth.
Marilyn's pout was famous.
Her lips were full. Lips are of great importance to women.
She often posed for pictures with her mouth open, and she had the good-looking teeth as well as the sultry lips to make that look alluring. I can't find evidence to say that Marilyn had any sort of lip surgery, but
Really had a unique way of doing her lipstick, you know, make the lips look fuller and outline them, as well as bring a highlight to the lower lip to give a pouty look.
in the course of her career though, she changed how she made up her lips.
And I also noticed that as far as that was closer to the 60s, the lips were not so overdrawn anymore. So she still had red lips. We still didn't go to that pale lipstick as we have in the 60s. But still, the lips were much calmer. She would not overdraw them that much as in the beginning of the 50s.
Some people do actually say that Marilyn's beauty was essentially just makeup and pretty hair.
Without makeup, her look loses much of its charm.
But the fact is, she's gone down in history as an icon of beauty and sultriness, and I believe her legend will live on forever. If you've enjoyed this video, then I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.